Welcome to my daily live stream. My name is Bob Umar. I'm coming at you live from my home where I've been doing a daily live stream on topics around professional career development, leadership, public speaking, personal branding, and more. And so today I want to talk a bit about patience, the importance of patience, because it's something that will benefit you in your professional life. It's also something that will help you in your personal life. And it's also something that I think a lot of us struggle with in terms of how do we leverage patience or understand patience. And sometimes we lack patience, including myself. And that's why I want to talk about today. It's actually relevant to something I've been dealing with the last week or so. But before I get into that story and talk about the content, I want to welcome you to the show, and I want to the Power Connection show and channel. And I'm here every day, Monday to Friday, around 8:30 a.m. That's going to be my new time is now at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know I'm starting late today, but that's going to be the time. If we can get the kids out the door, 8:30 a.m. is when I will start these things. And if you're joining us, let me know, comment below where you're from. Let me know where what are some of the things you're working on. If you want to promote something, that's great. If you want to tag people to bring them part of the conversation, great. If you want to like, comment, heart, light bulb, that's great. If you want to share this on your own page, great. And if you if you want to engage people in the comments, that's even great too. But start off with let us know where you're from, where you're tuning in from, and then get to any questions you have around patience. So that's really the topic for today. And then I'll do that for topic diving for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll get to Q&A, and that's where people can start asking questions. We can have a discussion about whatever you want, particularly on the topic, or we can segue to other topics. But let's get right into it. So the reason I'm talking about patience, and again, hey Dan, good morning. Glad to see people are here. The reason I'm talking about patience is because I had a very recent bout with patience. So I'll explain what happened. So I was actually away for hey Steve, welcome from Chicago, and Stephanie's here. That's awesome. Niagara Falls, Ottawa, great. So I was actually overseas. I was on a speaking tour in Africa and in Europe. I was gone for 9 days. And the first part was in Tunisia. Hey, Stephanie from Delray Beach. I was in Tunisia doing a speaking tour with engineers. And when I left, I went to Frankfurt, and then Frankfurt to Hamburg, where I was going to go to Germany and visit there. And Frankfurt, when I got to Frankfurt, I'm rushing like crazy to make the next, make that. And then look, Dan just shared his latest YouTube video, which is great. Hey, Kenneth, that's awesome. Southwest of Houston, that's awesome. So I'm flying from Tunis to Frankfurt. I get in there and then I have an hour to exchange flights. So then I'm running like crazy to get through the passport check and to get to the. And I'm assuming that if I'm checked in and everything's good, I should be able to make the plane. The plane's not going to leave without me, right? So I get there, and next thing you know, hey Dave, good to see you. Next thing you know, I get there and I get to the plane. I'm there probably 5 minutes before it's scheduled to leave. Now, I figured, well, I've already checked in. I've already done the passport check. I'm sure they're just waiting for me. But the plane left. And I was like, what? And I was like, why did it leave? And I didn't understand why. I was a little bit upset. But they said, well, no, it left. I'm like, you can't wait for me? I got through as fast as I possibly humanly could. I assumed that you must have missed tons of people. And, of course, I'm right. There was a bunch of other people who missed the plane, too. But they just said, well, you know what? We're just going to put you on the next flight, which is an hour later. Boom. And in 2 minutes, I was on the next flight. I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty fast. So they may have tried my patience, but that was actually pretty good. That's not bad. Okay, cool. And I see there's Ankur here and also on the series here. Good. So that's fine. So I took the next flight. And I just said, and meanwhile, I thought the baggage should be no problem. They'll just go on the next flight and I'll arrive. So then I fly from Frankfurt to Hamburg, get in Hamburg, and of course my baggage is in there. And I said, oh, well, obviously it must have been. Although I thought, wouldn't the baggage be on the earlier flight? It should already be here. And they're like, well, we don't know where it is. I'm like, okay. So you have to file a lost luggage claim. And then they told me that the luggage actually was still in Frankfurt. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Why didn't it go on the plane? Okay, you should let me know it goes on the plane. They said, well, it's scheduled to go on the 10 a.m. flight. And I was there at 8:30 a.m. I said, okay, that's fine. Just let me know. And they said, we'll deliver it to you. Okay, great. So then I filled out this form of where I was going to be. Now, I said the catch was I'm actually going to be at my friends in Hamburg for 1 day. Then we're going to Berlin for 2 days. And I'm going to come back to Hamburg. They're like, that's fine. They'll call you and they'll find out where you are and they'll deliver it. Our professional delivery service will send it to you. I said, okay, great. No problem. So I went with my friend back to her place in Hamburg, and they gave me a number to call and a reference number, to check on the baggage. And then this is where my patience was tried, because nothing happened for like a day or two. So I called them and I'm waiting online. Nothing's happening. I'm on hold for a long time, like 40 minutes, and nothing's happening. And then finally, my friend's like, "Well, look, I speak German. How about I call them, because you selected English, and they probably don't have very many English-speaking call agents. So let me do it in German." So then she did in German, and she got on in like 2 minutes. So then she's talking to these people in German. And they're just saying, "Yeah, well, we're still looking for the bag." I'm like, "You're looking for the bag? You don't know where it is?" So they couldn't find the bag, and it took them. So I arrived Friday morning at 8 a.m. They texted me. They found the bag on Saturday around 12 noon. I'm like, "Okay, great. They found the bag." And then I'm like, "Okay, I guess they'll find the bag and they'll ship it out to Hamburg or Berlin from Frankfurt. That'd be great." And nothing happened. And then the next day, my friend called again. And, "What's going on, guys?" And she's like, "Oh, well, yeah, they're going to be shipping it soon." So then I get a text and nothing happened. And then finally on Monday, so this is like, you have to understand, it's Friday, Saturday they find the bag, and then on Monday they say, "Oh, we are now delivering it to the delivery airport." Meanwhile, I've been in Hamburg and Berlin for almost 4 days without any clothes. So I had to buy clothes, and so I went out there and I bought myself some pants, shirts, underwear, all the toiletries. They say we'll cover all the toiletries and we'll cover half the clothes you buy up to a certain limit. I'm like, okay. So I started buying clothes, and I had to go shopping. I bought some dress shoes because all I had was sandals. It was really a crazy, trying experience for me, and I don't understand why it took so long for them to like once they identified on Saturday to deliver it from Frankfurt to Hamburg, which is like literally an hour away by flight, 2 days later. And I'm like, okay, it's Monday. I'm leaving Tuesday. Like, I'm gone. Where are you guys? And the other problem was that because they texted me, and it was a one-way communication. They were sending me messages based on what they knew, and I had nothing. I couldn't do anything. So then I went to social media to leverage my influence, and I said, "Hey, Lufthansa, what's going on?" And next thing you know, they responded to me because I have a lot of influence on Twitter, and they responded, said they're going to send a message. Again, nothing happened. And then I did it again on Tuesday when I'm leaving. "Guys, what's going on with this thing?" They said, "Okay, we're gonna try to deal with this." And when I finally flew home to Toronto, and meanwhile, there's nobody responding to stuff. My friend in Germany, she tried to call, nothing happened. Finally, I messaged again. I filled out a content form because after 5 days of your luggage being missing, you need to say, okay, what's going on, right? And you fill out an item list of everything that's there, and it's amazing how much value your stuff has. Like when you add it all up, I had 2 suits, pants, shirts, all my toiletries, everything. And it added up. They wanted original price of all my clothes, and it added up to like over $2,500. I'm like, wow, that's a lot. So, this was getting a little bit ridiculous. And I heard from other people's stories where they had to have even more patience, where their luggage was gone for a month, and finally it showed up. And at this point, honestly, like 6 days in, I was losing hope. I was like, oh, I don't think I'm ever going to get my luggage back. I have to buy 2 new suits. I'm going to a wedding this coming weekend. How am I going to deal with this? And of course, I started talking about it on social media, and I was kind of joking about it and half laughing at it. And people ask, "How can you be so you must be really angry?" I'm like, well, yeah, I guess, but like at a certain point, what can you do? Like I filled out the forms, I'm contacting them, I'm doing everything I can. I don't see any point in getting like, "Rah!" What's the point of doing that? I mean, it might be okay to do it for like 5 seconds, like just let it out, and let it out. But in terms of this, like having patience to the process and the hope that maybe it's going to come back is kind of as doing, "Hey, Shafiq from Karachi, good to see you." So that is, that's where my patience was tested. And finally, on the 7th day, it was a week later, I didn't have my bags. I have a wedding next week. I have no suits. And I tried to call him. I couldn't call him from Canada, a toll free, which also was tried my patience. So then I emailed, and I started talking to the guy on Twitter, and next thing you know, this makes a great movie score. Okay. Thanks, Kenneth. I started tweeting this guy back and forth, direct messaging, saying, "Look, here's what's going on. It's been over a week since I got my bag. It's like I don't get it. How hard is this? You have my address, you know where I am, you've located the bag 4 days ago. Why can't you send it where I am?" And then finally, I think I got traction. And within a few hours, I got a message saying, "Okay, it's coming on a flight to Toronto. The delivery service it's called Where's My Suitcase?" and they're gonna deliver it to me. Now they delivered to me actually at 1:30 in the morning on Saturday. So seven days and 16 hours later. But I didn't care. I wanted my bags right away. I didn't care. I wanted the bags. So I could do laundry in the morning, get my suits out, get them ready for the wedding that night. But I finally got, hey Mahmoud, good to see you. I finally got the bag after 7.5 days. And my patient was definitely tried and tested. But, one of the things, what's the lesson here? The lesson is that, patience definitely has merits. Because, I could have let if I had no patience, I probably would have let it stress me out. I may have not enjoyed my vacation in Berlin and Hamburg with my friend. But I tried to make the most of that. I could have let it stress me out when I came back in terms of all the stuff I had to do when I came back. So, not letting that get to me definitely helped keep me calm and keep me focused on the things that really were important. Yes, it was important to get the bags back, but it was not so important to let it ruin my entire vacation or my trip back home when I saw my kids and my wife and everybody else. So that's one thing. The second thing that to keep in mind when it comes to patience is that your patience is something that usually will be rewarded. And if you are being tested, right? There's things you can do. You breathe, go through the process. It's important to understand when you reflect on things and manage your emotions, to understand what are the things that you can control. So I can control calling them. I can control tweeting them. I can control the phone conversation when they call me. I can control making sure it's clear they know where I am in terms of addresses, hotels, and all that kind of stuff. That's stuff I can control. Now, things I can't control, it's important to know what those are, because if you do, then you can understand that you don't have that much power over that, and therefore you can kind of let it go and embrace the suck, as the hashtag goes, and just kind of let it go and not let it bother you so much. So for me, that patience is really important for you if you want to practice that in your life, both personal and professional. So losing my luggage for 7.5 days was definitely trying my patience, but it also tested my mental resolve, my managing emotions, understanding process, doing the things that need to get done, prioritizing the things that are important to me, and that's kind of how I managed the patience piece. And lo and behold, the luggage came back. And if it hadn't come back, that would have been a major bummer. But I was confident that if they'd already located the bag, they would be able to bring it back. So for me, that's where the power of patience comes into play. Now, this is where I ask you, where does your patience come in? Like, has your patience ever been tested? And if so, comment below. I'd love to hear some of your stories about where your patience was tested. Has you ever lost your luggage for more than 7 days? I'd love to hear stories of people that have been tested in their patience. And segueing that to work, how does patience affect you in the workplace? Now, where is your patience been tested in the workplace? For me, my patience is tested in the workplace when either A, I'm waiting on people to get something done that I think is something really trivial or small, and it's like taking weeks, and it's like, what is going on? Like, how hard does it take to do this thing? So for me, I think that's probably the one that tests me the most. And again, what's in my control is the ability to communicate. I communicate effectively. I'll send a follow-up note. I'll let them know. I'll talk about the importance of getting this task done, why we need to get it done, things like that. But I cannot control how fast they work, how fast they deliver. I can only control how I communicate and how I impress upon them the importance of getting the task done. It's the same thing that happens in my startup, because when I start up, again, same thing. People have different tasks, and some take longer than others, and you have to try and navigate that. So for me, that's where patience comes into play, into the workplace. Yeah, no, 7 days is a lot for luggage. I totally agree. Thanks, Kenneth. I appreciate that. But in the workplace, some things can take 7 days, or some things can take a month, and it's important for us to be mindful of how to leverage that patience for the better. And again, I'd love to hear stories on how patience has affected you in the workplace, in your workplace. What have you done to try to manage your patience and to process the emotions a little bit better. Other examples of patience for me is, this is rare, but sometimes I'm working with someone that's not exactly very competent. They're slow to deliver. They deliver poor results. They have lots of errors. They don't do good quality work, and that type of thing definitely tries my patience, because it's a slow, methodical process and you have to handhold them and explain everything in great detail. And after a while, you're like, wow, okay, this is a lot. But again, at the end of the day, if you want to process that, go back and say, well, what is the overall end goal? Is this important for me to invest time and energy? And oftentimes it is. One, I want to maybe develop the person if they're on my team. Two, I want to increase an understanding of the process so that next time I do this, it won't be such a headache. And also, it'll affect other people, because other people dealing with this person will be able to not have the same headache that I'm having. So to me, I like to invest that time and energy to make sure we understand each other and try to improve it for next time. And so for me, that's another place where my patience is tested in the workplace. And ultimately, I go back to the goals of, why am I investing in this patience piece? Is because I want to have a better process. I want to learn how to deal with people. I want to practice my own empathy muscle, my heart, to try to be better at that. Now, if you're just joining us, guys, we were talking about the power of patience. I shared a story about my lost luggage for 7.5 days. And if you like what you're hearing, you can like, clap, heart, light bulb in this face. You can tag people to be part of the conversation. You can share this on your own pages. I want to hear where you're from. Let me know where you're from. You can also ask questions about patience and dealing with patience. I also ask people to share stories on how they've dealt with patience and challenges they've had, or stories they've had about dealing with patience. That's really what the topic is today. Patience is one of those leadership skills that I don't think everybody has. We all have to be patient. I mean, there's forced patience, and then there's patience that comes from within, that is in the moment, right? So, and thanks for the claps and the thumbs up. Patience is something that is a great leadership skill, and we know many leaders who have it and others who don't. And obviously, when you work with someone who has patience, that's great, because they're understanding, they're empathetic to what you're going through. You feel connected to them in a more deeper way, and that's where empathy leadership is fantastic, because those types of leaders are going to demonstrate patience with you, with the teams, with the organization. Now, where it also comes to conflict is, while leaders and teams and individuals may be patient, I found that organizations are not so patient, particularly the for-profit ones, right? Because they care about money, right? They care about money. And so what they want is everything done right away, as soon as possible, with little resources as possible, and it becomes a bit of a challenge. So most of us in the workplace have to practice that patience with our company, because our company puts on these demands and it doesn't have the patience, and it doesn't have the empathy that you'd like it to. The only thing that brings companies to make it more empathetic is the people in the organization. Companies don't, but the people can. Now, some people are sharing some interesting stories here. So, so here's one. On this here says, wow, I can relate. Patience has let me be employed in the same company for 23 years. I was impatient, and the first year, someone in my upper management politely said, I learned to work with others who take time to learn or do what others do faster. Great point. I implemented that and learned to apologize when I was a little strict. People understand me better and appreciate the need that work has to be completed within deadlines. Yeah, so that's a great insight. So, number one, every single one of us works in different ways. And so patience for different work styles, for different work tempos, has to be part of the conversation and how we live our lives in the workplace. And at the same time, as long as you communicate clearly and establish clear deadlines, most people, most competent workers, want to complete their tasks within deadlines. They understand the importance of deadlines. They want to complete it. They want to be the one that, they don't want to be the one that holds things back. So that's really important. That's a great critical quote there. Thank you so much for sharing that on this. I really appreciate that. Anyone else have any other stories about patience and dealing with patience? I'd love to hear more from you on that. And while you guys are posting where you're from, or questions about patience, or stories about patience, a few things I wanted to mention about what's going on. So again, I've changed the time for my Power of Connection channel. It's going to be every day, Monday to Friday at 8:30 a.m. That's going to be my channel, my time. The reason I'm changing it there is because it's around the time I get the kids out the door, and I don't have breakfast because I'm doing intermittent fasting. So it's a good time for me to do that and get it done so I can start the day and have you start your day. For those who are on the West Coast who watch this later, sadly I cannot help you unless you want to get up really, really early for the 5:30 a.m. Broadcast. But you can also watch the replay. Replay is always on my page. You can always see it anytime you want. I'm always going to talk about topics around personal branding, leadership, career development, public speaking, things like that. But if you have specific things, networking, if there's things you specifically want to know about or want to talk about, you can always comment here. You can always DM me. If you're looking for more support in terms of your personal branding, your career development, or looking for more coaching or whatever, you can check out the link in the post, or you can contact me anytime and DM me. We can have a conversation about what you're doing. I'm always happy to meet people and talk about what you're doing. And finally, I'd love to build more people on this channel. If you want to send people, tag people, or share it on your pages, let me know, and you can share it on there, and we can bring more people to the conversation about what we're doing each day. I'm also going to be doing interviews, so I'm going to try to be interviewing. Actually, Dave Buzanka was on here, and Dan was here. I've been trying to work on the tech because the tech has failed me to do interviews live. The remote ones, I could do live in-person ones, which I've done, but the interview ones are a little bit more difficult to do. So I'm going to try to do that. And again, with the tech, I am being very, very patient to make sure I get the tech going properly. In fact, I have a meeting today at 3 o'clock with the Social Life team to learn how to do this effectively, and hopefully we can get more interviews in there, because I'd love to do more interviews with people and not just be the talking head. Although hopefully you guys have been very generous with your time and energy in listening to the broadcast, so I do appreciate that. What are some other ways in which patience, and again, when you think about people who aren't patient, like the people in your workplace who aren't patient, what does that mean? They basically often will become angry. They often will stress you out with, if it's a boss and they're yelling at you, or they're putting a lot of pressure on you that's unwarranted or doesn't make any sense. That doesn't work. You have team members, or people on cross-functional teams who place unreasonable expectations on how things go, and again, that also becomes very, very difficult. So that's why patience is a sign of empathy. Patience is a sign of understanding. Patience is a sign of the human connection, which I really, really care about. Yes, Dave, I am looking forward to our chat. I haven't gone back to you in terms of when we're going to do it, but we can try to do something this week. It's just a question of getting the tech sorted out. So I'm looking forward to sorting that out with my social life friends. Nasir also said, I also learn to be patient with people who have language challenges in terms of little swear words. Okay, I give these workers space and help them out when they're stuck. Somehow they stop searing in my presence. Okay, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. You have the chance to be the calming force, right? The calming energy in the room. That, if you can be the patient, empathetic, calm leader with a lot of zen, that works really well. And that's something that I get a lot, where people say, Bobby, why are you so zen? I'm like, well, I don't see any reason to get worked up. And if I do get worked up, it might be fine for a moment of letting go some ranting, letting go some emotions, but long term, or even for an entire day, it's not worth it. To me, it's not worth it. When I deal with trolling behavior, or if I deal with difficult situations or incompetent people or whatever things that tries my patience, yeah, I'll have that rant, or maybe I'll rant with a friend for a little bit, but for the most part, when I'm dealing with these people, patience, empathy, kindness, forgiveness. You have no idea what they're going through, or what kind of day they've had, or something's happened to them. And that to me is a really huge lesson. And if you can understand that, it's going to benefit not just yourself, but it's going to benefit everyone around you in terms of your team. That's really why, again, patience is so important for everything that we do. So, and again, now we're at the Q&A section. So if anyone has any questions around patience, or talking about the workplace stresses, or if you want to segue to other topics, that's totally fine. But I'm happy to talk about patience, and if people have any specific questions about it, I'd love to kind of hear from all of you. A lot of you on this program right now, you're all tuning in, which is great. I really appreciate that. But and those who are just joining in, I talked about losing my luggage for 7.5 days, which was crazy. But I had patience to kind of get through it all, and then ultimately got my luggage back. And patience is a huge workplace challenge for a lot of employees, as well as a lot of managers. And so it's important for us to incorporate patience. And if we could just actually teach the corporation itself to be more patient, to create a culture and value patience when it comes to getting things done, that would be amazing. Yeah, Kenneth. It's okay to be human, go crazy for a moment. That's fine. You want to do that? Great. But at a certain point, like you can't do that the whole day. You can't like ranting the whole day does not inspire people. Ranting for a moment can actually inspire people. Oh man, yeah, you said it, Bobby. All right, good job. You rant away, but you can't do it for too long because people don't like that. So I think it's important to understand you have to try to be more mindful of getting back to things and getting back to work, because you need to make sure that you're working and making things happen for yourself. All right, so that's really the lesson for today in terms of the power of patience. And if you have any other questions, you can certainly comment below. Let me know where you're from, or if you have any stories to share about how you've dealt with patience. And I will also be here every day for the daily broadcast. You can join me tomorrow. I'm going to do my best to try to have some guests in the next couple of days as well. And at a certain point, I'll probably have to put together maybe a page where all my content is listed in terms of what I'm actually going to talk about, and you can see it all, which would be kind of cool, right? So. I'm not a techie guy, so I'm trying to work on the tech stuff. And while I'm here, a couple things to announce. I'm actually launching a new program on speaker confidence. So if you want to build more confidence just as a speaker, whether you're talking one-on-one, or whether you're talking one-on-many, or whether you're talking on a video, creating a little program with my friend String Nguyen for her Master Your Voice program. It's a 7-day program. It's like a 7-day email where you get set emails and videos from me. If you're interested, whoops, something in my eye here. If you're interested, certainly comment below. Let me know. I'm happy to share the link of where it's all going to be set up. I believe that's starting on August 25th. And then I'm also doing a personal branding workshop this week in Toronto on Wednesday evening. And again, anyone wants information, you can check out the DYPB Discover Your Personal Brand page, or you can just let me know, and I'm happy to share a link with you. All right. So that's it for today, guys. I wish you guys all the best. Thanks so much for being patient with me, and thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you guys tomorrow. All the best. Talk soon. And I'm leaving the video on because sometimes it gets cut off at the very end. Okay? Thanks.